The story behind League of Legends. Episode 5, Demacia. The Kingdom of Demacia, commonly referred to as Demacia, is a nation located in the western part of Valoran. It shares its borders with Shirima. Along the western coast of Valoran, the human nation of Demacia shines as the continent's paragon of virtue amongst all the other human settlements. The residents are always striving to sharpen their bodies and minds in the pursuit of absolute justice. Locations. There are currently 17 known locations encompassing Demacia. Demacian capital. The largest city in the kingdom, the capital is the main political, cultural, religious, military, economic and educational center of the country. Demacia is a shining beacon of hope for humanity, and as such the nation and its capital are the visual representations of this concept. There is a clean and pristine feel and look to its cities. Towering spires litter the skyline of the city. White stone and marble are the materials of choice in the construction of Demacian buildings. Majestic flags fly high along the parapets of the city. The city walls virtually gleam with power and nobility. The noble houses that reside within the city are the Sonabuvel, Garen Crowegard, Fiora Laurent and Vane. The royal palace of House Jarvan for Lightshield is the place from which the king of Demacia reigns from. The city also has a barracks and a penitentiary. The capital itself sits next to a natural port overlooking the Conqueror Sea, with the majority of the other towns resting on a plateau. The College of Magic is the main center for magical learning within the kingdom and produced many skilled mages, such as Lux Luxana Crowegard, the Lady of Luminosity. The Golden Round is a large and lavish theater where royalty come to watch its numerous plays. Naga, a famous actress, once played on its stages. Alabaster Library is one of the most beautiful houses of knowledge in all of Valoran, which houses the poetry of tongue. Demacian rural towns. Rural towns of Demacia are used for agricultural purposes. The people live much simpler lives there than in the capital and are generally and are of lower standings than the capital's nobility. Quinn is the only known non-city born to get a high position within the Demacian military. Golden Crossing. The Golden Crossing is a small where Quinn and Valor once used to track an escaped Demacian prisoner. Ondel. One of Demacia's numerous protectorates, this town is described as a perfect and peaceful settlement. Needlebrook. One of Demacia's numerous protectorates, this town was the first refuge of the famous actress Maga after her previous companion's murders. Awandale. One of Demacia's numerous protectorates, the village was the site of numerous wyverns, rabid wolves, and bandit attacks, all stopped thanks to an poppy unknown hero. Wildlife. The land and coastal areas house a large assortment of astounding creatures, such as crag beasts, dragons, and wyverns. There are also more mundane creatures such as bats, ravens, seagulls, and wolves. Crag beast. Giant boar-like creatures. Crag beasts are often sighted in the countryside where they frequently attack Demacian settlements. They adorn large tusks and sharp fangs. Their outer shell is protected by a thick layer of rocky-like skin which protects them from swords, spears and other weapons. The only place where their skin isn't as thick is at their belly region. Their soft skin, inner organs, and blood are of a bluish color. Their size ranges from a house to a large tower. Poppy, keeper of the Hammer of Orlan, once saved an entire settlement from one of these beasts. Wyverns. Reptilian creatures, wyverns are members of the dragon family, are often mistaken for their cousins cause of their similar appearances. The distinguishing features of a wyvern is that it only has one pair of limbs and one pair of wings as opposed to the two-pair-limbed dragons. They are often spotted attacking the Demacian countryside and are a frequent threat to villagers. Culture. The people of Demacia are driven by the common cause to disseminate benevolence and order for the betterment of all beings throughout Valoran. They view malice and selfishness as a disease which should be expunged from the psyche of humankind. Those who come to Demacia and choose to settle within its borders are expected to share the ideals and virtues of its citizenry. Those who seek personal gain at the expense of others quickly find themselves ostracized or worse. Life in Demacia is not one of placid utopian dreams. Since the Demacian people pride themselves as the moral vanguards of Valoran, they adopt seemingly draconian measures to ensure that their moral code remains the only code by which one may live within the country. Crime in any form is harshly punished, there are no misdemeanors within Demacia. Some detractors of Demacia, who criticize far from the reaches of the nation, claim this as proof of its inherent hypocrisy. Demacians counter this argument by pointing out that their justice system incorporates benevolence and mitigation into its verdicts. No one is punished without fair and just consideration of the circumstances involved. While others may continue to criticize the harshness of Demacian law, the Demacians stand by their convictions. The Festival of the Slayer. It was a celebration to honor a monster hunter who saved numerous Demacian farms and villages from wyverns, rabid wolves, and bandits. Although this revered warrior had chosen to remain anonymous, that wouldn't stop the villagers from celebrating his deeds. The slayer had been spotted near the town of Uwandale, leaving the first eyewitness accounts of his appearance. To commemorate the hero's bravery, a stone statue was erected in his honor. Government. Demacia is a constitutional monarchy, where the king of Demacia serves as the head of state and an elected council serves as the legislative body. While the king is a strong ruler, he is kept in check at least partially by the Demacian council. The current king of Demacia, Jarvan III, aka Jarvan Lightshield III, works earnestly with the Demacian council to ensure that the sanctity of the kingdom remains pure and true. Since the rule of Jarvan I, there has never been an attempted coup or rebellion of any kind in Demacia. The king serves not only as the political leader of the country, but also as the commander-in-chief of its military. Numerous territories controlled by the kingdom are known as the Protectorates. Noble houses. As a monarchy, Demacia is governed by various royal families, regulating the nation primarily as members of the Demacian Council. While many of the noble houses have ruled for generations, they are treated as any other citizen under the nation's strict laws and are not exempt from them. They may even be treated more harshly under the law, as they are meant to serve as shining examples of how Demacian citizens should conduct themselves, publicly and privately. House Bouvel. Listara Bouvel notably adopted famed musician Sona Bouvel into the family. House Crowegard. A paragon family of Demacian service. Garen Crowegard and Lux Crowegard hail from here. House Laurent. A family known for its long line of elite duelists. It is currently headed by Fiora Laurent after she caught her father cheating for a duel and fought them for control over the house. House Lightshield. House of King Jarvan III and his son Prince Jarvan Lightshield IV. They have been the royal family of Demacia for centuries. House Spiritmight. One of the most influential political forces in Demacia. Notably the prince's mother Lady Lightshield, formerly Lady Catherine Spiritmight, belonged to this family. House Vane. The famously tragic murder of her family left the controversial figure Shauna Vane with the family fortune which she invests in her vengeful crusade against evil creatures and dark magic. Military. The Demacian military is one of the strongest in all of Valoran, and until recently it was the only force capable of holding back the hunger of the military machine that is Noxus. Noxus has been the sworn enemy of Demacia since both settlements were founded hundreds of years ago. Their conflict is, at its core, a moral one. With such a night and day division of moral philosophy between Demacia and Noxus, it is not hard to see why Demacia views its military requirements as a vital necessity for survival. Every Demacian citizen is required to serve in its military for no less than 3 years. Even after this time, most Demacians remain on active status in the nation's military reserve. Demacia's army is often outnumbered, but is arguably the most elite, well-trained army in Protectorate. The resolve of Demacia's military is alternately celebrated or despised, but always respected. Their zero-tolerance moral code is strictly upheld by civilians and soldiers alike. In combat, this means Demacian troops may not make excuses, flee, or surrender by example. Thousands of great heroes have risen and fallen on the bloody battlefields between Demacia and its preeminent rival, Naxos. Relations. Vandal City. Demacia shares a relatively good relationship with Vandal City. Poppy, Keeper of the Hammer, hero of Demacia and the nation's longest-serving champion, has wandered the lands of her adopted home since its early years as a fledgling nation, protecting its many citizens from harm. Naxos. Naxian hostilities towards Demacia and likewise stretches far back in the nation's histories. Having fought at least 2 wars with each other, the two nations are political, military and ideological rivals and see the other as a threat. The death of King Jarvan I Lightshield at the hands of Sion, a general of Naxos, is celebrated as a national event in the empire. Tensions between the two nations has not changed, will likely not change until one of the two factions gives up. Freljord. Demacia and the people that now make up Freljord have had a history of conflict, albeit nowhere near as grievous as the conflict between Naxos and the northern barbarian tribes. Both Ash and Tryndamere have been highly critical of Demacia's neutrality during Naxos barbarian pacification campaigns. In fact, Demacia had been quite protective of its territory, turning away refugees during the campaign's more bloody episodes. Likewise, Demacia's northern homesteads were oftentimes targeted by barbarian raiding parties. Both governments have a great deal of diplomatic work ahead of them before they can bridge the gap that spans decades of distrust. Piltover. Piltover and Demacia may have their differences, but the two nations are on relatively friendly terms. Scientists from the City of Progress are usually welcomed inside Demacia. However, should the scientists wish to perform experiments there, they must first get clearance from Demacian officials. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to share video and subscribe us channel.